Hey guys, it's Lydia. If you're new here, hi, welcome to my channel, and if you're not, then welcome back to another one of my videos. And if you're watching this, then you probably just watched my part 1 of my summer book recommendations and books I've been reading this year. As I mentioned in my last video, last year I posted my summer book recommendations based on trending videos on TikTok. I have a full review to all those. I have reviewed almost every single Colleen Hoover book out here. If you're interested in finding out the rest of my reviews, then keep watching. And also in this part, I'm gonna mention what I'm reading and books to read. So comment down below any book recommendations you guys have, what your opinions are on some of the books I'm reviewing. We might have totally different reviews or interests, and I'm super excited to find out. Let's get on with this. So picking up, I just mentioned Hopeless. Moving on to Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. This is very unlike any of her other books. This is a very family-focused book, and it's written from a younger perspective. So this is about a girl named Merritt who lives in a very strange family, and she has a very big family. They live in a church, and it's just a very odd situation. And this girl is very, very depressed, but she gives like sarcastic humor throughout it. It's really weird because you can't really like resonate with this character. It's definitely a younger adult. But throughout it, she finds out all of these family lies. Then at the end, there's just this big blowout, and it's kind of crazy. Not an insane plot because you already know the lies and like the secrets towards the beginning of it, kind of know what it's gonna lead up to. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting compared to her other ones. I would rate this one a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I found it funny. It was definitely just weird. I can't really compare it to anything else. It was just a weird book. Next is Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. I had seen this one. I've been recommended this so many times. I don't know why I waited so long to read it because it really is such a good book. This is written from the two-person perspective, so it goes from mom's perspective one chapter, then daughter's perspective the next chapter. I thought this was going to be a very like family-focused book. Basically, the main idea of this is the mom is trying to protect her daughter from putting her life on hold like she had done for her husband, and trying to protect her from just like altering her life just all for a boy. The characters both have their own plot. The way this is written is it's not just the same storyline in both perspectives. Like each character has such a different life, so it doesn't feel like you're just like reliving the same thing in two different perspectives. It's like two different lives, but they're somehow connected because mother and daughter. Definitely a huge plot twist. This is like a mix of romance, betrayal, deceit. She kept it engaging the entire time without getting too deep. So I would say this is a great summer read. I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10. One of my favorites. Highly recommended for a good reason. I just got it from my mom. She loved it. So you can just kind of tell like different age groups will still enjoy it. So I thought that was really good. Then one of her newer ones, Never Never, co-written by Taryn Fisher. The plot of Never Never is written in two different sections. So there's section 1 and then section 2 halfway through the book. And the idea of this book is a couple who wake up one day and just have no memory of who they are, where they are, who their family is, anything about each other, anything about anybody else. They can only remember really like irrelevant things like song lyrics, know what colors are, kind of all that kind of stuff, like know how to play sports and that kind of stuff. Obviously, the plot of this book is trying to figure out who they are, why this happened to them. Even though it was co-written, you can't tell who wrote what parts. Now, the one thing about this book kind of disappointed me because the beginning started off so strong. I really loved the beginning of it. It had me hooked. It was such a mystery. It's like I really wanted to figure out like why this is happening. And I felt like they were taking it down one route that they should have ended with. I feel like they could have taken it such a different direction than they did. And then part 2, they like lost me. It's like, you know those movies where it's like they're reliving the same day over and over again, and like halfway through you're like bored. That's kind of what happened with this. It's like the second part is like them reliving the whole thing again. I was like, okay, like this is just not loving it. The ending just disappointed me so much. I did not like this one. It had such potential though. All I can say is I was highly disappointed. I originally wrote down here that I was gonna give it a 6, but I'm honestly, now that I'm talking about it, I'm gonna give it a lower score. I'm gonna give it a 4 because I really just, out of all of these, this is probably the one I'd recommend the least. Moving on to Heartbones. This is the best summer read. Read this. If you want a fun, beachy Colleen Hoover book, even just a fun, beachy read at all, this is a really, really good one. The cover is cute. It's very romance. It's beach focused. The plot is literally like the scenery is at the beach, so you can't really feel more beachy than that. This one does have a trigger warning of extreme poverty and addiction. That is just something to be aware of before you read this. The plot of this is a girl grew up obviously in extreme poverty, and then she ends up moving into a place with her father, and they're extremely wealthy, so she's forced to start over in a completely new setting that she's never grown up with, and there's a lot of resentment about that. So even though this is one of Colleen Hoover's older books, you can tell there's so much thought put into this, and it's one of those feel-good books that kind of make you step back and just feel grateful for what you have. She goes into such depth about it. I felt like the message of this one is just to be very grateful for what you have, and then she shares some of the really dark sides of poverty and dealing with addiction. Overall, I would give Heartbones an 8 out of 10 because it does have a little hint of romance, nothing too spicy compared to some of her other ones, but I really do love that one. Now I'm gonna move on to what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading 2 books, and I'm done with Colleen Hoover, you guys. I've read every single one but 2 and the sequels, so I'm just ready to start with some new authors and start reading some different type of books. I'm currently reading 2. I bought 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. I've seen this everywhere for like the past 2 years, and I've just never got it. I have read a book by Brianna Weiss, The Mountain Is You. It was a self-help book. I enjoyed it. I kind of burnt myself out with self-help books, so I was like, will I like this? And I do, but it literally is just 101 essays, so it's all kind of essay format, which this is not a type of book I can just sit down at the end of the night and just read, because it's very informative and it doesn't feel light and it feels like I'm just learning, and at the end of the day, if I just want like something fun to read, this is not what I'm gonna pick up. I haven't been reading every single one. I've just been picking through if I like a title or I'm just in the mood to read one of the things. For example, Chapter 9 is 20 Signs You're Doing Better Than You Think You Are. I'll maybe choose that one and then read it and then flip to another one. I do really like it and I'll get through it at once, but after I got this and started reading a few essays, I was like, okay, I need something else too. I just picked up We Were Liars, which is written by E. Lockhart. As you can see, I'm about a third of the way into it because I got the one with like bonus chapters at the end. It's a family-based book. It kind of reminds me of Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. There are so many characters that like getting into it, I've been kind of confused. It's like 3 or 4 families. 1, 2, 3, 4. It shows you a photo at the beginning so you can make sense of it all. It's about 4 full families, which is kind of hard to get my head around. Now that it's kind of going, I'm really liking it. There's a little bit of romance, there's family drama, there's lies, there's deceit. It's definitely keeping me interested, and I will let you guys know how I like this. Comment down below if you guys have read this, if you would recommend reading the sequel to it, Family of Liars, if you have read this one. To summarize, out of all of the books I've read in this part 1 and part 2 of this video, if you're looking for fun, lighthearted reads, I'd recommend Heartbones and Slammed. If you're looking for a book with depth, engagement, something to keep you entertained and intrigued, nothing too intense but nothing too light, I would recommend Regretting You. I feel like that's a great book for all ages and all type of categories. And then if you're looking for a deep book that you want to pick up and read every single day and get you really hooked, buy Hopeless, and you will thank me later. I know you guys will love it. It's very underrated. Since filming this video, I did end up finishing the book and buying the sequels to We Were Liars. This had an insane plot twist at the end. It kept me engaged to the very end. She incorporated a lot of fairy tales in the book, and that really added a cool perspective. It was about 4 cousins who came from a very wealthy family, and every year their families would get together and come and stay at Beechwood Cottage for the summer. Cadence is the main character of the book, and she's suffering from amnesia from an accident that we're also, as the reader, trying to figure out about. So her family won't tell her what happened, so throughout the whole thing she's trying to uncover whatever is just so horrible that her family won't tell her about herself. And the last chapter is telling the truth about the entire summer, and it will really make you rethink the entire book. It is 10 out of 10, so good. Lastly, I want you guys to recommend what I should read next down in the description below. If you guys can kind of tell what type of books I'm into and really like, please help guide me into the right direction to books that I will enjoy, because when I finally find an author I like, I just want to read them all, and then I'm like lost when I finish it all. So far on my list is the Twisted series. I heard that's really good. Then there's Things We Never Got Over. Happy Place by Emily Henry, but I'm pretty sure that's only in hardcover and I cannot stand reading hardcover books, so I haven't gotten it yet. And then lastly, I want to read Madison Beer's autobiography, The Half of It, because I listened to a podcast of her talking about, I think on Call Her Daddy, and it sounded like it was going to be really good. That is my to read list. That's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Go check out my last year's summer book recommendation video, and I'll see you guys in my next video.